Curse of Wax. The abandoned wax museums, with melting caricatures standing still, dripped with wax to the tune of 117 degrees. A neighboring building was on fire, adding a few dozen degrees Fahrenheit more. I was supposed to retrieve that last token from the register and run out, but the heat overwhelmed me. I was in reach of the cash machine as it stood there. I saw it had melted shut. I threw it in my wagon and began to run towards the door. My breath was lost. I panicked and passed out in my suit filled with sweat and steam. The heist had failed. Oh, look, he's awake. I was still sweating, but I could tell I was in an air-conditioned room. About 50 degrees cooler, I was able to breathe again. Outside monitors showed that it was down to 98 degrees at 5 in the morning. Kyra was standing above me, smiling in anticipation of my awakening. How long was I out? Mason says you dropped to the floor. Does your head hurt? You've been out for 10 hours. She had a cold towel she kept pressing on my forehead. She could have laid it there and I'd be cool enough, but it was very much like Kyra to mother me. She was my older sister after all. We had lost our parents once the grid failed, and we joined an outfit of men and women who brought back power to this grandiose shopping mall and saved a few dozen folks in the nearby neighborhoods. We only needed the cash from the wax museum to buy and trade with neighboring folks, I guess you could say. People were too scared to be considered organizations or affiliated under one gang-like name. I sat up and Kyra grabbed my arm. You're still dehydrated. Then please, bring me water to drink? I asked while ripping the IVs out of my arm. A bad habit I had. She left and there stood Mason. Look, man, I want to say sorry. I shouldn't have risked our lives for this mission. The register only had 100 in it. Mason seemed fraught with guilt. It's okay, Mason, I smiled. It was like a horror game. I saw these wax sculptures melting so fast, and I knew they weren't real, but I could swear. Now Mason wasn't really listening as he checked his radio frequencies. But he said, yeah? Yeah, you see, Ma would take us as kids when we were little. Ah, I see. He looked up from his buzzing dials and buttons. Can be weird seeing the past burn down. He stopped fidgeting with his radio and held on to my hand. Yeah, like I saw all the classics all melting to the floor. Elvis, James Dean, and Marilyn Monroe melting. Einstein, Stephen Hawking, Isaac Newton, all melting. Presidents from Washington to Reagan just melting to the floor. It was bizarre. They didn't stand a chance in any of this. Those wax models just stood there and took it. Mason seemed to look at me a bit worried as Kyra came in with a glass and a pitcher of cold water. I helped myself to 4 gulps full. Yeah, like now I can't help but wonder what it truly feels like to melt. I mean, when I saw them melting right before I passed out, I felt slimy from the sweat and the steam filling up my suit. It felt like sticky cheese, except more liquid and just itchy. I must not have refilled my oxygen tank, or... There was a hole in the suit, Jesse, Kyra told me. Oh, that explains it. For a moment before I was out, I thought I was melting with those wax people. Just dripping and dripping with sweat like a mannequin shoved into an oven, the plastic just shaping to the forms of flames. I thought before it was all over I'd be but a pool of salt water. My neck and anywhere where two body parts meet, the pits of the arms and legs and so forth, just a slimy mess, drifting and dripping away onto the floor to be boiled into steam. Do you think steam can have consciousness? Oh, buddy, I think you ought to lie down and get some rest. Keep drinking some water. My dear friend Mason filled up my glass and I laid back. Him and Kyra went to get a doctor to check on me. I felt fine, really, but I didn't want to risk a dehydration headache, so I didn't cuss or fuss when the doctor reattached those IVs. I went to sleep and had an odd dream. It reminded me of an old movie called The Incredible Melting Man. It came out a century ago, and well, it has its flaws. In the movie, like in my dreams, the main character is sent to space and comes back melting continuously, never running out of flesh to melt, and he dripped and dropped slime on everyone and everything. In my dream, I never seemed to turn into a pool of water and biological sludge. I remember waking up covered in sweat when my dream self looked into the mirror to see my eyes fall out of their sockets, busted and oozing slime. I had slept all day long. It was fine by me. I missed the worst heat of the day. But when I saw it was dark, I was unable to move to turn on a lamp. No matter how much I moved or tried to move, I felt nothing, actually. I lied there and thought about those wax images melting, those past comedians, actors, singers, innovators, presidents, any man or woman who had fame, all reduced to liquid form. I lied there and wondered if humanity would ever be saved from the rising temperatures and power failures. It haunted me for a while until I heard footsteps outside my hospital room, which used to be a Hot Topic store. I tried to holler for help. Nobody came. Nobody came because my lips could not move. My vocal cords could not produce a sound. I laid in the darkness, paralyzed, trying not to panic, though I felt an eerie calm. All I could feel was sweat pouring from everywhere. I felt wetter than a fish. Beyond wet. I felt like the very essence of water and itch combined. Finally, boots were heard coming down the hall. Drip. I could hear them getting nearer and nearer. Drip. Still no sensation but wetness and itching plagued me. Drip. Finally, I felt cool. I felt elevated as the air conditioner shut back on. The lights came back on too. It was Kyra. She screamed when she found me. I was but a drying pool of wet clothes and a soaking bed of bones. Turns out that steam does have consciousness, at least temporarily. For as the fans were turned up in that humid hospital room, I seemed to have drifted away to another plane of existence, happy to finally feel relief from the dreadful heat.